Thank you for joining this interview, Professor Miriam Balaban. I'm very happy to see you.
It's my pleasure always to see you and to be involved in desalination.
Thank you. So I just want to ask some of the important questions for desalination and project for ScienceWalden for Professor Joe. And if you can just make it short and clear, it will be very much appreciated.
Thank you. First of all,
I will ask a question, this one. Yeah? And my question is, how do you see the future of desalination? What technology are most likely to emerge in the next 10 years in your experience?
Well, first of all, there's a great need for desalination. The population is growing.
Yeah.
The need for water is increasing. The lack of water is also a big problem, so that we have a big challenge to create the same or new ways to use the water in the ocean and perhaps find other solutions. What technologies? This is a difficult question because there might be new technologies. It's just that as thermal desalination was the beginning, from my experience in the journal Desalination, and then the membrane technologies emerged. And now there are various branches of either, so that it's difficult to say which, and I think all would be based on these, and perhaps new will emerge. Also, the increase in the possibilities of solar energy and thermal and wind energy are increasing. In the beginning of my experience, these were considered perhaps impossible because of the great land that was needed for solar. But now these new technologies, the renewable energies, are increasingly important and possible, it seems.
All right, so renewable energy is one of the most likely technology in the future.
Renewables.
Yes, that's
and anything that lowers energy requirement. This is the great thrust today, lowering energy. With all the technologies, you see, this is the challenge.
All right. Okay. How about your opinion for Korean desalination project and progress? So a lot of projects already we have delivered in Korea, and then now they have first Korea desalination plant, 100,000 cubic meter per day, bigger one in Daesan. So how do you see Korean desalination project and desalination program?
First of all, I'm always impressed with the Koreans from the beginning until today. I think the young people who are emerging and the training that you have is so intense and so good. I'm always impressed with this. So I think that there's no question that the Koreans will always be in the front of this field, or in many fields, because I'm really impressed with the training that you have here and the response of the young people.
All right. How about any improvement they require for their progress in desalination?
Well, there's no question, desalination is everything, but the thing is, I'm really impressed with the speed and intensity of your participation, in conferences, and Koreans all over the world in other meetings, and that it's enabled by the government, by institutions, to the education system, to have the Koreans seen everywhere, prominently.
So how about what is the difference between the perception of the seawater desalination technology from civilians and engineers? How do you feel?
Well, civilians, I think, very often say, oh, it's expensive. It doesn't taste good. They don't even know the difference between whether they're drinking desalinated water or not, or the bottled water. So that civilians, I think, very often do not have the proper concept or perception of desalination. They don't even know when they're drinking desalinated water or not. So that this is different. I think engineers perhaps have a little more knowledge about the process and its safety or its taste.
How we can change the civilians' perception?
Well, I think like everything, it's advertising. Right now, bottles are considered the best.
Yeah.
Any bottled water, whatever it's in it, is considered very good.
Yes.
But not desalinated water. I mean, as a concept.
Okay. Also, this is a little bit different question based on the Professor Jewan Science Walden. He's asking about what's your opinion for nutrient recovery from urine, whether this can be commercialized in the future. What do you think about it?
Well, it's the greatest source of waste.
Yes.
It's the greatest permanent, secure source.
Yeah.
The thing is, like everything in commerce, or everything that we do, it's become more and more commercial. So it's a matter of how do you sell it? How do you sell the idea again? As we were saying before about the concept of civilians and engineers or anybody, I think there it would be the concept. So it's a matter of how you sell it, or how it's disguised. I mean, I think all the pharmaceutical companies don't always tell what's in their products. Now, hopefully, they're good. And sometimes we find they have made mistakes, very big mistakes. So thalidomide, opiates, and so on. So we hope that the companies would be reliable. I mean, we expect and we rely on the fact that we could make, or that it's up to us, the community, the desalination community and water treatment communities, to have good products. But the thing is, how do you sell a concept that's maybe distasteful to people? It's a clear supply, but it has to be commercialized or promoted in a way that's acceptable.
Okay, I agree with you completely.
Sorry, I agree.
Yes.
Okay, right.
So this is last question.
And it doesn't have to be emphasized as such.
Yep.
It can be honestly
indicated,
but
sure,
not
definitely.
emphasized.
What advice would you give to ScienceWalden project and physics standard money? Because Professor tried to implement physics standard money and then make the people to donate their physics for the anaerobic bioreactor and then give us some credit, appreciation, kind of some information or some credit to sell. So we just say FSM. Yep. So how do you feel for the ScienceWalden and FSM implementation in the future for human waste recovery?
I don't know if that would sell at FSM. I mean, again, I think it's the same as urine, that it would be waste, recovery of waste. What's the difference? I mean, there are wastes that today are recovered, all sorts of wastes. So why is this so different? This is the most permanent waste. But I don't know, I don't think that just emphasizing it as such would be the solution. I think having it, and of course honestly indicating, but the emphasis might not sell.
Okay. So like people, they collect their feces, and then there are some reactor, like anaerobic bioreactor, then put their feces inside the reactor, and then they want to generate methane from human feces, and then we want to give them some reward, like, oh, you donate your feces, and then we create your methane for energy, and how we can give back. So some reward can be like, oh, you have a mileage card. You have an airplane, and the mileage you can utilize later on whenever needed. Something like FSM, rewarded concept. How this will be
I don't know.
possible.
This might work in populations that are very needy of the money. But again, wouldn't it be the same as with urine to have some kind of an automatic system going straight from the toilet?
Okay.
that might be more useful. You might start with taking populations that would be, or dedicated important people who would do this as samples, as an examples, who would do this. But it seems to me that it should lead to just some automatic system straight from the toilet.
All right.
I don't know. So
Yes.
speaking about the likelihood of acceptance, if they don't accept just desalinated water, which is from the sea, it's okay. But saying that the taste isn't good or maybe it's not healthy, so why would they accept using feces? So I think it's a matter also, I think it's a very good, noble concept and a secure supply, but it should be, again, a way of selling. And as you said, Bob, perhaps, as Professor Joe suggests, perhaps it would start with